Hello there, you're listening to The Box Office Show. I'm Ryan Hill.
And I'm Dylan Johnson. Today we're going to be talking about the box office numbers from last weekend and our box office predictions for this upcoming weekend.
We will also be making selections for what we think should win and will win the 2025 Oscars, and we'll be checking in on the state of the Oscar draft to see who is poised to win on Hollywood's most star-studded night.
Let me ask you something, Ryan. What size TV do you guys have in your living room?
A 65-inch?
I'm going to kill Lillian.
Why?
So you don't have the shitty little TV in my room, right?
Oh, I'm well aware.
The little 30-inch TV from 13 years ago. So I was like, I never watch TV in my room because the TV is so tiny. My room is big, so I'm like very far away from it. It looks like I'm like looking at a little phone screen in front of me because of how far away and tiny it is. So I was like, I went out with dinner with Lillian, and one of the things we talked about was like, I really want a new TV. I think it would be really nice. And she had just gone over to your guys' house to watch Dune 2 on your 65-inch TV. Let's remember that. The TV that Lillian has in our living room is 50 inches, right?
Mm-hmm.
She makes a joke. It's kind of a joke. She goes, hey, if you get a big TV like Ryan and Mason in the living room, you can have the living room TV and put in your room. And honestly, a 50-inch TV in my room would be really nice. And so I asked her, how big is the TV in their living room? And she goes, 85 inches.
Oh my God. That's not true at all.
They have a 75-inch TV.
Oh my goodness.
It is huge. It is
Dude, what did you get?
Life. I bought a Hisense U6N QLED TV.
Okay.
It's pretty good. It's pretty nice. I'm very satisfied.
So was that around $600?
It was exactly $600, but I had $300 that was a gift to me from Christmas. So it only cost me $300 for what was a $1,000 TV. What TV do you guys have?
It's a Samsung OLED. I forget the exact.
You have an OLED?
Oh, I sure
I'm
do.
So
That's
jealous,
why it's so
dude.
good. That's why I'm
so jealous.
Like we were watching it in just those opening frames when they were showing like when they were burning all the bodies and everything. I was like, dude, the fire, it looks so crisp.
Dude, I wanted an OLED so bad, but I didn't want to spend the money. And also, my living room is incredibly bright. And I was worried the OLED wouldn't look very good in the very, very bright living room.
Ours works well because, I mean, it gets pretty, like our shades that we have there are pretty good. And the sun never shines like directly into that window. It shines directly into my window here. So that's not fun whenever I'm like trying to work in here or watch the TV that's in here. But thankfully, the arc of the sun.
How much was that TV? Like $1,200?
Away from it. Yeah, that's not too far from it.
Because I was researching them all last night to find the price, and I was like, an OLED Samsung would be nice, but I could only afford like a 50-inch max, and even that's it's really pricey. So the fact you guys have a 65-inch OLED is very, very cool. But if you want an even bigger screen, you can come and see my QLED. It is 75 inches. It is huge. It is crazy big.
It's insane. And the 65-inch worked well for us because that's like the little nook that we have it in is perfectly 65 inches, pretty much.
Yeah. Right now, my TV is sitting on the floor because I was going to put it on the TV stand, but the legs are too wide to fit onto that TV stand because of how big the TV is, and also it is too heavy technically for that table. I looked up the weight limit for that table, and it is a 60-pound TV for what is a 50-pound TV, would hold 50 pounds of a TV stand. And so I bought a specific floor mount or floor mount TV stand where you mount it onto the floor mount, and I'm going to stick the floor part underneath the TV stand, so it's going to look like it's hovering above the TV stand, kind of. is what I
Okay.
intend to have it look like, and then I can route the cables up the stand itself so that they're hidden, and then it'll plug into the TV. So I think it will look good eventually. Right now, the couch is a little bit in front of it because it's not like the biggest space in the world where the TV is. But
Hmm.
with the wall mount, or the floor mount, I should say, I can hover it just above where the couch sits. So it will be in perfect crisp view, and it is
Perfect height.
gigantic. Yeah.
You don't want to have a TV that's too high because
No, no, no.
you'll get flack for that all over. Have you seen that online? Like
No,
it's
no.
a big thing lately of TVs too high.
Dude,
Um,
Carlos's
and
TV when he
it's
lived here, his TV was wall mounted, but it was above his computer monitor. So he had computer monitors on a desk, and then above that was his TV, and so it just kind of looked like a hospital TV because it was up on the upper part of the wall in his bedroom.
yeah,
I thought it
you
looked
don't want to
sick.
have that. Or a lot of the houses have fireplaces with like the ledge over the fireplace, and
Yeah,
that TVs are now getting placed a lot of times, which is silly.
yeah.
So
That's where Jacob
you
wants.
don't like it.
That when we had the 50-inch TV out there, he wanted a wall mounted above our fireplace, and I was kind of against it just because uh, I don't really want to be looking up while I'm watching television. I want to be looking straight ahead. So I don't think he'll want to wall mount a 75-inch TV. So I think
No,
I lucked out on that one. And now the good news is I have a 50-inch TV in my bedroom.
there you go.
The bad news is it did
That's
not
nice.
fit on the TV stand in my bedroom either because the legs under that 50-inch TV were too wide, and my TV stand in my bedroom is tiny. So it was like the edges of it were I could like prop it onto the TV stand, but the edges of the legs were like hanging over the edge of the TV stand. So I went to Home
Precarious.
Depot or Lowe's, I mean, and I bought a wood board, and I just put the wood board on top of the TV stand and then put the TV on top of the wood board. And so honestly, it looks really good. It looks like the wood board is like a part of the design. I did nothing to it. I just like laid it on there, but it looks like a rustic sort of TV tabletop now.
That's pretty much a similar setup that I have. Like because I have my computer monitor, which I'm looking
Hmm.
at you right now, but behind that, I have like it built into my desk is a raised platform, which is where the
Hmm.
computer monitor is supposed to go. But I had
Hmm.
the TV on that. But since I got my new monitor, because as
Yeah.
you know, and everyone likes to clown me for, my old monitor was very old and very tiny and did not work well at all. So I upgraded. I splurged this past Christmas and got a new TV, a new monitor, again for the first
Hmm.
time in like over a decade.
Yeah, man, me too.
But now the monitor's bigger, so I had to raise the TV a little bit. So I
Hmm.
bought just a separate like raised platform that's in the same exact like style, the whole rustic style
Hmm.
that they got, the wooden
Yeah.
top. So now I have the TV on that. Underneath it, on the original raised platform built into the desk, I have my sound bar, and then on the main platform, the main desk, I have the computer stuff.
Hmm.
So it works
Yeah.
out well. The monitor is still slightly like too tall. So if it's a full frame that like goes to the ends of the TV, then sometimes the lower, not even lower third, but just that lower part will get
Hmm.
cut off.
Yeah.
But if it's cropped and it has those letterbox at the very bottom of the screen, then
Hmm.
it's perfect. So
Okay.
it just depends on like what I'm watching. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Did you guys
thankfully my
get
setup here is
a
great.
Did you guys get a sound bar for your TV? Your living room
Not
TV?
yet. We need to get
That's next on my list. When I work a little bit more and I make a little bit extra more moolah, I'm gonna because I have sound bars from when I lived with Spencer, but they're really old and shitty, and they didn't even work when I last tried to use them. So I think they're
mm,
just trash. What's funny about the 75-inch TV? I was thinking about this earlier today. It is the first TV I've ever actually bought ever because the shitty 30-inch one, my parents bought me when I was 13, so it's 12 years old now, and when I was living with Spencer, the TV that was in my room, that was an old one of Spencer's TVs they didn't use anymore because he bought a TV for the living room that he wanted to use, and he didn't want a TV in his bedroom. So I got one of his old ones, and then when he moved out, he took that living room one with him because it was really nice. And then I had his old one, or no, he took the old one with him. I only got one of those two TVs, and it was the one that the TV itself didn't have speakers, so you had to use a sound bar
mm,
for any sound to come through. But then when I moved out of that place, the sound bars stopped working. I guess whenever I unplugged them, I must have broke something or something. So the sound, it was a TV without sound, and so it was just broken, and I hated it. And so I had to go back to the 30-inch TV that my parents had gotten me, and that thing sucked ass. That thing was dog shit. I only watched one movie on it the entire time living here, and I've been here for a year now, and it was Happiness. we went to do that with Camden. I had to watch Happiness on that TV because there was something going on in the living room, and I couldn't use the living room TV. But now I will for sure be watching a lot more TV in my room, which may not be a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing. But at the very least, it'll be easier for me to share the living room with my roommates because I'm more willing to go and watch TV in my room as opposed to camping out in the living room so that I'm the only one who gets to use it. And I'm also happy to share the 75-inch TV. It's just so big. I can't wait for you to come over and see it because I imagine your 65-inch is also pretty damn big.
I mean, yeah, it is. So 75 inches, crazy.
It is.
So someone I know, I think, does have an 85-inch.
I can't imagine.
And I'm like, that's just crazy. Like, because again, the 65-inch is by far the biggest that I've had. I still have in my closet here. I have the computer, or not the computer, the TV that I had all throughout, the past 10 years that I would watch everything on. So I still have that. I need to figure out what I want to do with it. And then,
dude, honestly, I kind of wish I had gotten the 65-inch. It's too late now. I've already destroyed the box and opened it, and I'm not putting that shit back away and returning it.
It was a size versus, because the OLED obviously makes the pricing jump significantly. Yeah. So I want it to still be big, so it has that impact. But I'm like, no way can we afford or even fit like the 75-inch in our Nook. So I thought it was like a perfect little compromise there because it's big enough to be like nice, but not crazy unruly.
I was debating between getting the U6 and the U7 for the Hisense, and I think in my research, I thought that the difference in like the HDR and SDR capabilities between the U6 and the U7 would end up being kind of negligible for me because it's still such a vast leap up from Lillian's $200 Vizio TV. Like I'm already like jumping up so many degrees by getting a U6 that I'm pretty much satisfied with that. I'm okay not getting the U7. I think it's fine. And then the only other advantage of the U7 is like gaming capabilities with how many hertzes you can do whatever with. But I don't game on my television, or if I do, it's on console. It's not PC, so it doesn't really fucking matter. And the price points right now for the sales that they had at Best Buy was I could have gotten a U7 65-inch for $700, or I could have gotten the 75-inch U6 for $600. So it was like $100 less, and I get a bigger TV that is only slightly worse. I think I'll lean for the bigger TV. But then I was like, I could also get the 65-inch U6, but that was only $80 cheaper. And I was like, if I can get that much bigger of a television for only an $80 difference, I think I'll pay a little more for the 75-inch. The only downside now is that I have set it up and it is great and I'm going to love it while it's here. But anytime I have to move, it is going to be a pain in my ass. The only saving grace is that I think even if it was still a 65-inch, I think it'd still be a pain in the ass to move with it. So
it will be like it barely fit into my car, like with all the seats down and everything, the 65-inch, and that was when it was in like the package. So when we have to move that out, possibly a year from now, it'll be quite an ordeal. But
the 75-inch did not fit in my car. I had to go rent a U-Haul truck.
Oh my god!
Because it was either that or for $20, or I pay $100 to have it delivered to my house. And I was like, I'll just go get a U-Haul truck. It'll take 2 seconds. But it was a long day. All right, we've been talking about TVs for long enough. Let's get into some news.
But for the record, Samsung S90D 65.
Oh my god, dude! OLED. Fantastic choice. And all the research I did last night, that was like my dream television. So I'm very jealous that that's what you got.
Again, I went so hard, well, like both the monitors and the TV, like going through Mason knows, because I would come out and be like, there's like 3 great options. I was looking at the Samsung, the LG, like all these different OLED.
The LGs were also comparing nice,
the minute little differences between them. Was it Panavision, I think now is like, or Panasonic? something is also like back in the game. They had a new TV that was really solid. So I was like, oh my God. But yeah, I'm happy with what we have now. Like it's incredible. So you need to come over and we need to watch a movie.
I need to see that OLED TV. I'm going to just bust all over it.
It's so good. It's just so incredible. Oh my God.
You need to get a really good soundbar. That'll be a must. Mason's going to hate you, bro.
Already we were watching Lost yesterday. We like started watching that together. And I just like fired it up because he was in his room. We had talked about it. We're gonna watch it after I finished doing homework. So then I go and I just fire it up on Netflix, and it's the previously watched, or just like the recap of the previous episodes. So it goes previously on Lost. It was just the plane crash that happens. And the apartment like basically shook. And again, there's no soundbar, nothing on there. It's just the volume is like crazy. And so I just heard Mason like go like from the other room.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, that's the one issue so far. Is it's just his gaming setup. It's like the thin wall right between the TV and where he is got his desk.
Yeah.
And so that's why I try and watch a lot of stuff in here, because I don't want to like blast him in the very next room whenever I'm watching something. But yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I want to watch Ron on the OLED.
Dude, that would be great. I was looking at different things because I watched Fury Road as I was like calibrating it, and that was fantastic. And then,
dude, being able to calibrate the TV is also so cool. I haven't gone through all the settings yet, but I was just watching Shrinking, the Apple TV Plus show with Jason Segel, and I was just like going through the settings, and I just made it all the way black and white. Which I've never been able to do with the TV before, and I was like, "This is crazy."
You can, you can. I was having
so much fun.
But there's also, again, it's so funny, and I have the different settings because there's one that's eco, which just like turns on the brightness. Then I have the cinema setting. Then there's the dynamic setting, is the one they call it, but it's just like it looks terrible. It's like where they boost all the colors, all the saturation, brightness
mine
as well.
Called Vivid.
And then they try and do, dynamic is whatever they call it there. And then again, they try and smooth out the motion too much.
Oh, I hate that.
And it's just like that thing where it looks too, like they try and make it too crisp.
That's what happened to my TVs. I turned it on and I was like, they got the motion smoothing on. How do I turn this off? And I spent like 20 minutes trying to figure out how to turn it off. And I had to change the setting from the Dolby Vision IQ setting, because that was what it was set at first, to Dolby Vision Custom, so that I could go in and access the motion smoothing and just turn it completely off. Because I was like, at first I changed it to the film setting on the motion smoothing, and I was like, it's still smoothing it. I thought it was supposed to look like film, and I was like, oh, there's an off setting. Turn it all the fucking way off, please. I don't want any motion smoothing at all. Even when I play 100%. Games, I don't really want motion smoothing. I don't want that shit. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Maybe if I watch sports, but even that, I don't need it.
I don't think it matters that much.
It just makes it look
I do have ugly. There's different options. It does. It looks terrible. So I have it for...
If you have a TV and you bought a new TV and you're wondering why it looks so fucking awful when you watch movies or TV, it's probably because of the motion smoothing, the motion blur reduction, or whatever you want to call it. Just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Turn it off. Turn it all the way off.
100%.
It just looks so bad.
So
now let's get into some news.
All right. So Avatar. We've known for a while now that they're working on a new series, a sequel series. And we have some information, including a title. It'll be called Avatar 7 Havens. And it is, here, let me read a little blurb for you. It is set in a world shattered by a devastating cataclysm. A young earthbender discovers she's the Avatar after Korra, but in this dangerous era, that title marks her as humanity's destroyer, not its savior. Hunted by both human and spirit enemies alike, she and her long-lost twin must uncover their mysterious origins and save the 7 Havens before civilization's last strongholds collapse.
Is it the OG showrunners again?
It is, 2 of the 3 original people. Yes. Michael DiMartino and Brian Konietzko are returning.
Dude, that is awesome. And I'm guessing it's going to be straight to streaming Paramount Plus?
It's a good question. I don't know if Nickelodeon is going to premiere it on their thing, but either way, I'm sure it'll be on Paramount. So yeah, that's what we got.
Cool. That's exciting.
Yeah, I think it should be fun to see them go back to like that, dystopian type of world. In the original Avatar, it was more like fantasy. And then we had with Korra that 1920s aesthetic, which was cool. I was wondering if they were going to continue that all the way and just have like each new era be more developed and closer to like modern times. So the, earthbending one maybe would have been like an 80s or 90s type thing. I thought that would have been cool. And then they do a post apocalypse thing or like a cyberpunk thing later on. But nah, they said wipe the slate clean. No more cars, no more nothing. It's gonna be post apocalypse, which is cool because I always like those type of worlds. So
all right, they just skipped ahead.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how that plays out. So sometime in 2026, it should be hitting again either Nickelodeon or Paramount Plus. So maybe we'll finally have to get Paramount Plus.
Yeah, probably still won't. Amazon has taken over the James Bond franchise. Longtime producers Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson are stepping back, and that almost guarantees new 007 projects coming our way very, very soon. I am sure Amazon is already on the hunt for a new Bond. Ryan, are you excited for a new Bond, or were you hoping they would take a break for a while?
Well, no, I think they needed a new Bond yesterday. I don't know why they were waiting so long for that. What I'm not happy about is getting 1,000,001 spinoffs in various like overexposure of the 007 franchise, basically. So I do think they need to get a James Bond, and I think Henry Cavill, they need to scoop him up, give that man his chance, since he had been auditioning back before, like back when it was Daniel Craig was the contender.
He might be too late, man. He's getting too old, don't you think?
No, he's like barely 40.
He could maybe make like 2.
He's in the right sweet spot. If they get on it now and crank it out, every 3 years, then I think he'll be fine. He can get a trilogy under his belt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dune 3 is going into production possibly this summer, which is very quick. We thought Denis Villeneuve was going to go to a whole nother film in between Dune Part 2 and the final in the trilogy, but no, it seems like things are happening fast. I do wonder, though, if that will be feasible. I mean, we know Timothée Chalamet is always very busy nowadays, but Zendaya is also going to be busy with Euphoria Season 3, which also just went into production. So we'll see how that shakes out, but it appears sooner rather than later we're getting Dune 3, which, of course, I will be there day one.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. I'll be there day one for Euphoria Season 3. I can't believe they're actually going through it. It's been so long. I thought it was just dead at this point.
But I know that's truly absurd. It should not have taken that long, and there's no reason to. It's just Sam Levinson is not quick, and he's the sole writer, and so I guess he was just taking his sweet time. But it'll be amazing if they get all the cast together truly for that, with how all of them, like most of the main ones now, have blown up and become full movie stars. But it'll be exciting to see one final season and how they go about it. Definitely a fun show to talk about. So,
indeed. Now we have some other news. TV shows about the fantasy worlds are still chasing Game of Thrones' hype. The Wheel of Time Season 3 has been announced for March 13th, and The Ring of Power Season 3 is currently underway in filming, and it has been announced that Netflix has partnered with Sean Levy for a D&D The Forgotten Realms series. Are you looking forward to any of these 3 shows, Ryan?
So, no, I have not watched any of them. The Rings of Power, I've heard, got better in Season 2. Wheel of Time, I also heard, got better in Season 2. Mm-hmm. And so maybe if they continue this upward trend, I'll go ahead and watch it. But again, Wheel of Time is like 14 books. Like, that's what they're adapting. So we'll see if they're able to actually go through with everything. And Rings of Power, again, I don't know what's going on with that. Again, they made a huge investment, Amazon did, into that franchise.
Sunk costs,
but it got off to a rocky start. So if we continue to hear good things, maybe I'll give it a go. And then what I want from a Dungeons and Dragons related thing is the sequel to the film starring Chris Pine that they had a couple years ago. Because that one was great. It was a lovely time, very fun. It just didn't make a lot of money, which was unfortunate. So if they're going to go ahead and do another D&D project anyhow, they might as well do a sequel for that, because I think it'd fare better. I think on streaming, people were able to discover it, and they'll be more likely to watch it in theaters this next time around.
Yeah. So you always seem to be leaning pro movie over TV show.
I mean, you know me too well. That's always the case.
But theaters. But now with that OLED TV, it's like it's right there.
A little bit, but always that theater experience will be great. So I hope these continue to do well for the fantasy genre, but we do need a fantasy film. Like, we need something in the theaters that draws people in. So hopefully some of these will spark that. But our final piece of news, something game-changing. The hierarchy of the Scorsese cinematic universe has changed. Leonardo DiCaprio, Martin Scorsese, and The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, are apparently all attached to a project about Hawaiian mob bosses in a crime war. This is crazy.
What do you think crazy combination? This? Not the biggest fan. You know me, I'm not the biggest fan of The Rock as an actor. I mean, we'll have to see how he does in The Smashing Machine. That's kind of like the first time he's taken a really challenging acting role, really. I mean, the closest was Fast Five. I think he gave a good performance because it was just a little bit different than every other performance he ever gave, which was all the same. But I think The Smashing Machine will be like the testing grounds to see if he actually has any kind of actual dramatic chops, which he could. I mean, I don't know. He's a WWE wrestler. They act all the time, and he's a great performer in that. So I don't see why he can't be a performer. A lot of other WWE stars, all the popular ones, are all great performers. John Cena is a very good comedic actor, and Dave Bautista has actually become a very strong dramatic actor. So, I mean, it's very possible that The Rock could deliver a good performance. I just haven't seen it yet. I will just be skeptical until I do see it. That is just the way it is. I would like to be proven wrong.
Indeed. I am curious because Scorsese now has like 4 or 5 projects in the works.
Yeah.
And he really needs to be like pinning them down and just selecting one and going with it. But
ran out of time.
If this one comes together, I think it'll be very fascinating. Again, him going back to that crime drama, a little bit more straightforward than what he's done in the past, and it'll be a sort of different take. He did The Irishman recently, but this will be in a whole new environment, focusing on I don't know what the time, like when this is supposed to take place. Certainly it'll be a period piece, but I think it'll be a fascinating new thing for him to explore. Leonardo DiCaprio, I mean, their collaborations are always phenomenal. But
when was the last time he made something that wasn't a period piece? Was it The Departed?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
Flip phones in that, so that was it. So I honestly am kind of excited. Like, I think because again, his crime movies are always phenomenal, and then just the idea of him like bringing in The Rock for this, that's kind of exciting because he'll obviously want to use him well. The Rock definitely has a presence that's very obvious, but him taking on a more dramatic turn with The Smashing Machine, as you mentioned, I think that means he's ready to like really elevate himself as far as the movies he's doing and the directors he's working with. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, let's now go into the box office breakdown for February 14th to the 16th. Captain America: Brave New World taking first place, no surprise there, with a very impressive 88.8 million in its debut.
Not too shabby at all. Followed behind by Paddington in Peru with 12 million.
Heart Eyes with 9.8.
Dog Man with 9.7.
Ninja 2 with 7.6 million. It has officially crossed 1.7 billion worldwide, meaning it is the highest grossing animated film of all time.
Very impressive. Insane run. Let's see how far this goes. Keep going. Keep getting higher. It is just the more it makes, the harder of a milestone it will be to cross for all animated films in the future. So wild.
Yeah.
Followed up with Mufasa with 4.2 million.
Love Hurts, 4.1 million.
One of Them Days, 2.9 million.
Companion, 1.8 million.
And Chava, 1.7 million. I believe that's a Bollywood film.
I believe so.
All right.
Now for our predictions for this upcoming weekend, February 21st to the 23rd. The Monkey, a horror film coming out. What do you think it'll get, Dylan?
I think 12 million. I think it will crack double digits, but just barely.
I kind of agree with that. I'm feeling that there's some hype going into this. So I'm going to go a little higher and say 15 million.
All right. Okay. Be like that.
So we'll see where it lands. But yeah, I definitely think double digits it'll be able to hit. So now let's talk about the predictions for Oscars 2025. First, let's take a look at the Oscar draft and where we're at with it. So, the films on my roster include Dune, The Brutalist, Conclave, Wicked, and A Real Pain. And Dylan, your roster...
My roster includes Anora, Amelia Perez, Gladiator 2, Blitz, and Nickel Boys.
Right. So that was our group going into it. And from the nominations, my group has 35 total.
Mine has 22.
And yours?
Very disappointing.
22. So not insurmountable, but definitely quite a gap there, especially compared to last year. I think it was within just one win would have tied it. This one, you're a little further away. So you have to clutch a lot of wins here.
We'll see.
So we'll go through
not counting. It's not looking great.
You can't, fold in the towel. Actually, as we talk about it, I think your chances have improved from like when the nominations actually began. Possible. I think.
Yeah.
So we'll discuss that. Talk about what we would like to win if we were selecting the Oscars, and then what we think will win, and we'll see how much the bias of our draft comes into play there. Usually that's how it shakes out, but we will see. And then at the end, we might have a better idea of who will come out on top and by how much. So our first category, Best Supporting Actor. The nominees, you're Borisov from Anora, Kieran Culkin, A Real Pain, Edward Norton, The Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce, The Brutalist, and Jeremy Strong, The Apprentice. So Dylan, if you had the sole power to grant an Oscar to one of these 5 gentlemen, who would you give it to?
This was really tough because obviously I want to pick Yuri Borisov because Anora is in my draft and it's my favorite movie of last year and I think he's fantastic. And I know Kieran is obviously the front runner and I do love his performance as well. I think I could count out, I haven't seen Edward Norton's performance, so I think he's counted out. I would count out Jeremy Strong as well. Guy Pearce is a close second if the other two are tied for first. But I probably wouldn't pick Guy Pearce either, just because I think his performance falters a little bit towards the end of the movie with the story faltering. I don't think that's anything his fault with his performance. I just am not captivated where the story goes with his character specifically, and so I think it hurts his chances for me. Whereas I think Yuri Borisov and Kieran Culkin, not only are they delivering stellar performances, but I think their characters are on a complete journey, and I think that helps the actors tell that full story for the character. And God, if I had to pick, I think I'm leaning towards Yuri Borisov just because I think he's more of a supporting performance than Kieran Culkin. I think if the Oscar is for the supporting actors and he's giving a supporting performance, I think Yuri Borisov on technicality is fulfilling that role in a much stronger way. And I also think, although Kieran Culkin is fantastic in this, and I think his like very emotional, vulnerable moments are really strong and very unique for him as a performer, I feel like the rest of the movie, where he's sort of being a little bit more standoffish and a little bit more prickish in a lot of ways, it feels a lot closer to Roman Roy than I wish it did. And I wish it had been just a little more distinct in those moments. So I think I'm going to go with, I would pick Yuri Borisov, but I think Kieran Culkin is a very close second.
Gotcha. I, of course, am picking my man, my slime puppy, Kieran Culkin,
of course,
for A Real Pain. However, if I were choosing the nominees for Best Supporting Actor, he would not be among them, because that is a lead performance, my friend.
Absolutely lead performance, yeah.
I would have picked Guy Pearce for Best Supporting Actor, and Kieran Culkin I would have had in lead, and I might pick him over Adrien Brody. I don't know. We'll see, because Brody, of course, gives a phenomenal performance, but I think Kieran Culkin just hit all the right notes. A lot of it is very reminiscent of Roman Roy, but also I loved his performance as Roman Roy. And then I think, there's enough new shades there that we're getting from this particular character and the setting and the story that is taking place. So I think, it's just a fantastic performance, just clearly not a supporting performance. So he will win without a doubt.
Yeah. Absolutely. Kieran Culkin is taking home the Oscar.
All right. So I'm jotting down some of these predictions here.
Perfect. So we can move on to Best Supporting Actress. Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown, Ariana Grande for Wicked, Felicity Jones, The Brutalist, Isabella Rossellini, Conclave, Zoe Saldana, Emilia Perez. Ryan, who would you pick to win this award of those 5 nominees?
So, Best Supporting Actress. It's fascinating because I think Zoe Saldana also is just the lead of that film.
I would agree.
Had I been in control of nominees, she would not be in supporting. I do think she gives a really great performance, and the dancing, the singing, all the stuff that she has to do in it definitely lends a lot of credence to her as like this strong performer. And so definitely I would love to be able to celebrate that. Isabella Rossellini in Conclave, I think, is just too small of a part, honestly. It's like the other element of the supporting actress. Like maybe it's not like supporting enough of what's going on, although I think she is fantastic in those snippets that we get of her. Felicity Jones in The Brutalist, I wasn't the biggest fan of that performance. Ariana Grande in Wicked, I do think it's a great performance. I don't know if that's, give it like an Oscar winning thing, but it's the same things like Ryan Gosling in Barbie. It's just like every time Ariana Grande is on screen here, like it's great. Like you cannot go wrong with that. So definitely happy that she's getting this nod, at least for that strong comedic performance. And then Monica Barbaro as Joan Baez in A Complete Unknown, which I really liked her performance in this. I thought it was very fantastic. Again, just because of how like truly essential I think she is to the film. I think Zoe Saldana is like the best part of Emilia Perez. So I would be between her and Monica Barbaro.
You gotta pick one though.
I would give it, again, I really liked Barbaro in A Complete Unknown, so I might lean to her here.
Okay. See, I'm in a difficult position here where the reason I didn't pick Kieran Culkin was because I think he's a lead performance. And I feel the same way about Zoe Saldana. I feel like you said, she's very much a lead performance in this movie as well. So I don't think it's fair for me to pick her, even though I think she gives my favorite performance of the 4 of these that I've seen. I've not seen A Complete Unknown yet. But I also don't really, I'm not I agree with what you said about Isabella Rossellini. I agree with what you said about Felicity Jones. I agree with what you said about Ariana Grande. And I just haven't seen Monica Barbaro, which is unfortunate. So I feel like maybe I would be leaning towards picking her if I had seen that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But because I don't have like a favorite in the same way that I had a favorite with Yura Borisov in the other category, I am gonna pick Zoe Saldana as what I would pick, and I am fairly confident that she's going to win as well because she's just been cleaning up, much like Kieran Culkin, every other award that there is, just eating them up. No.
Yeah, I would say Saldana is the favorite. Again, the whole Emilia Perez controversy may have diminished the solid lock that she had on it, but I still think she's gonna take the win. Ariana Grande would be in second place here. Like she's the closest, but again, I just think Zoe Saldana, with everything she's doing in the performance plus the narrative behind her, I think she'll come out on top. So
I would agree.
That's one sort of unanimous for one of my films, and then one unanimous for one of your films. So we're even there. As far as best directing, things might get shaken up. We have Sean Baker for Nora, Brady Corbet for The Brutalist, James Mangold for A Complete Unknown, Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez, and Coralie Farge for The Substance. So, Dylan.
Yeah.
You have just one film from your roster on here. I have just one film. Actually, you have two, I guess, Emilia Perez. I have two. So, which film? I mean, it's pretty obvious. You're going to go with Sean Baker for Nora, but which film do you think will win? We know what you would do if you had the Oscar.
You're right. I would pick Sean Baker, handing it out. And I genuinely believe, with him winning the DGA, and with Nora doing very well at the BAFTAs, I think Sean Baker will win Best Directing at the Oscars.
All right. There you go. Yeah, it's definitely been Corbet and Baker. Baker did take DGA. Even at the BAFTAs, Brady Corbet just won Best Director there. He won at the Golden Globes, of course. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty neck and neck between them. I personally would give it to Sean Baker. And I do think
he's on my
Sean
side.
Baker might take it. The only thing holding me back is if, and we'll get to this later on, but if Nora is the favorite to win the Best Picture, I think we've seen this package a lot of Best Screenplay and then Best Picture. Mm-hmm. So Sean Baker, who wrote it, I think they'd give it to him there. So then they might spread the love in Best Directing, and Corbet might take it there. Because again, it's a huge achievement. He's been winning a lot here. He's been doing a lot of talking on the press tour, which can always help and then hurt you. But ultimately, I think a lot of the things he's saying at least will resonate with artists. So that should benefit him there. So it's between the two of them for sure. And I can see a world where Baker takes screenplay and picture, and then Corbet takes The Brutalist. Sure. But right now, for me personally, I would give it to Baker. And then I'm going to say that he will take the win.
Yes, he's on my side. Unanimous again. Now, the Best Adapted Screenplay Award, the nominees are A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Emilia Perez, Nickel Boys, and Sing Sing. Ryan, who would you give this to?
So clearly, it's going to go to Conclave. I think it's been going that way, and then I would give the win to Conclave as well. I haven't seen Sing Sing yet, still. Emilia Perez, absolutely not. A Complete Unknown, nothing like wildly special there, I don't think. And the Nickel Boys, I think, deceptively, it's because it's so visually impressive, and a lot of the choices that are made in the direction and the cinematography and the execution of the performances, I think it is underappreciated for a lot of the writing choices that it does make. And again, that like central construction that they have with the different timelines, a lot of which I'm sure is in the original book itself. So I love that they got nominated. I think that's great. I just think Conclave is obviously gonna take the win here. And then personally, I would give it to Conclave as well, just because it balances that like thriller aspect of finding out who the Pope's going to be, that mystery aspect of knocking down all the potential contenders by finding this new, issue that each of them has. And then I think some of the like broader thematic points that they're making, while in some areas I think it's a little like just very obvious and on the nose, in other areas I think it's very well observed. So I'm going to give it to Conclave.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would agree with you unanimously once again. I agree with everything you said. Conclave has been cleaning up everywhere else in the writing category. I think it's going to win. And I think what they do with a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the balancing of the characters and a lot of the progression of the story and the pacing that they do in that script, I think is very, very tight. And so I would give to Conclave as well.
All right, there you go. For Best Original Screenplay, we have Anora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, September 5th, and The Substance. So, in this one here, I'm imagining you would also personally select Anora.
Oh, yeah.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. You got me, buddy. Busted.
So anything with Anora, I think you're going to be selecting that. But as far as who will win, I think it's clearly between Anora and The Brutalist, because again, these are the biggest competitors for Best Picture at the moment. I do think Anora will have the slight edge here. Again, I can see Best Director going to The Brutalist easier than I see Screenplay going there. And then
I would agree.
Even at the BAFTAs recently, like neither of them won. It was in fact A Real Pain. So I think The Substance, which won Cannes for Best Writing, I don't think that'll be, even close to getting the actual award here. So as far as should win, personally, I'm going to give it to A Real Pain. Again, I liked,
of course,
just the construction of those characters. Is higher up on my top 10 list. I just think that like monologue scene at the dinner table, and like Kieran Culkin heads out to the bathroom for a little bit, and then we just see Jesse Eisenberg unload everything there. I thought that was fantastic. But then particularly the choice they made not to have, I called him Roman Roy for a second, Kieran Culkin walk back during that tirade, like as he's talking about his cousin, Kieran Culkin. He just instead goes and plays the piano. And then again, everyone's like focus turns to this guy that was being a drunken mess right beforehand, and then now is like playing piano and showing this
captivating
new
everybody.
Side of himself. Yeah, and that like just his capacity for beauty and also to surprise people. Just very compelling. So I think A Real Pain was a very lovely film, and a lot of it is, it's the performances and the writing that make A Real Pain stand out. So I would want to award that compared to Anora, which again has impeccable writing, but also has many other elements that I think make it stand out as a complete package more. So for me, A Real Pain, I think the real soul of that is the writing first and foremost. So I would give it there. Will win. I think Anora will take it.
Woo! Let's go. We've been unanimous so far in what we think will win. Isn't that interesting? Now, Best International Feature, we have I'm Still Here from Brazil, The Girl with the Needle from Denmark, Emilia Perez from France, The Seed of the Sacred Fig from Germany, and Flow from Latvia. Now, I've seen all of these movies, and I can say without a doubt, what should win is I'm Still Here from Brazil. No, I'm sorry, The Girl with the Needle. I think The Girl with the Needle. I forgot about that was there. I always forget that one's there. I think The Girl with the Needle should win absolutely wholeheartedly, but I think I'm Still Here will win because of the controversy with Emilia Perez, where Emilia Perez was the front runner. I think there's been so much behind it being like a bad movie, so much against it, against Carlos Sofia Gascon, against Jacques Audiard, against the film itself, against the music, against the story. There's been, like, everybody hates this movie. I just can't see it winning Best International Feature over I'm Still Here, which is very widely beloved by a lot of people who have seen it. So I think I'm Still Here, because it also got a Best Picture nomination, I think cinches the win here for Best International Feature.
I 100% agree with you, and I'm hoping that that's the case. I think it'd be awesome if I'm Still Here was able to take the win over Emilia Perez in this category, because we know it's down to them too, obviously.
Yeah.
But the surge that I'm Still Here has experienced lately is nothing short of incredible. And then the fall of Emilia Perez has also been like one of a kind. So those two factors, I think, get like the momentum is easily behind I'm Still Here. So it's just, was there enough time for it to really crest during the Academy voting so that it'll take the win? I think it did. Like, I think people will want to vote I'm Still Here for a variety of factors. Like, there's the whole, the political component of that film at the moment. Again, I think people will want to support Fernando Torres, the film itself, what it's saying, again, the strength of just the actual like artistry in play compared to Emilia Perez, which all the controversy around it. And then I think there would have been a natural backlash anyway against Emilia Perez, even if all that stuff didn't emerge. We always see that with like some front runners. People will start picking it apart. I think with Emilia Perez in particular, we've seen that it's strong opinions, whether positive or negative, it's strong opinions. And so I think that would start to work against it, where a lot of the negativity around it, or the people that did not jive with it at all, would be happy to vote for anything else in this category. So I'm Still Here would be a well-deserved win. And I will also say will win. I think it should win.
All right.
So let's go to Best Animated Feature. Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, your favorite, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, and The Wild Robot. Actually, I guess because you took Wallace and Gromit out of your top 10 contention, you considered it a 2025 film.
Correct.
So, and you have seen it. So now I'm curious, what would you pick here for Best Animated Feature?
I would still pick Memoir of a Snail. I loved Wallace and Gromit. I think it's really fun. I think it's a great like reconnection to my childhood watching Wallace and Gromit. But I think Curse of the Were Rabbit is a far superior film, and that did win an Oscar. So I am content with Wallace and Gromit winning awards. So nothing else needs to win. Memoir of a Snail, though, is one that is not going to win. I guarantee it. Almost nobody has seen it. I'm like the only guy. I wish other people would go see this movie, please. It is so fantastic. It is already a miracle that it got nominated, honestly, because just nobody fucking saw it. And it is so, so incredible. And people need to go see this movie. But it's not going to win. I think The Wild Robot is going to win. The Wild Robot is a very good movie. It is incredibly popular. And it is very heartwarming. I think people will absolutely pick that over everything else just because everybody has seen it. It's just so much more popular. And I think Inside Out 2 is not an original enough story to carry it through. And I think Flow, it's amazing that it got an international feature nomination, and it's amazing that it got a Golden Globe win. I don't think it's enough to carry it through to an Oscar win. I think The Wild Robot takes it.
I agree with your assessment there of like what would win. I think Flow and Wild Robot are the two contenders, but I think Wild Robot will probably ultimately take it since it's just more widely seen and probably easier to enjoy. So I think that makes sense.
More of a Snail, man.
I do. I should definitely.
We got to watch it on your giant OLED TV or my even bigger QLED TV.
So one day soon, I will be able to watch that. As far as Best Documentary Feature, have you seen any of these 5? Black Box Diaries?
I've never even heard of it.
No Other Land, Porcelain War.
No research.
No research. Dang. Yeah, I know of Black Box Diaries because I think that was at Sundance last year, so I wanted to see it. I think it's on Paramount, actually. And No Other Land is famously, about Israel-Palestine. It's not gotten distribution yet, at least as far as I know, which is kind of crazy. So I'm sure, given its relevance and from everything I've heard about it, like the genuine quality of the film, it'll probably take the win here.
Okay. I agree.
And hopefully that'll allow it to get distribution. But yeah, No Other Land is, I think, clearly taking it.
Any of the nominees were Porcelain War, Soundtrack to a Coup d'etat, and Sugarcane. Sorry, I cut you off earlier.
No worries. But yeah, so those are the 5 nominees. Again, documentaries are usually just harder to see. But yeah, we can't give opinion on what should win, but will win. I think it'll be, without a doubt, No Other Land.
let's do the Best Editing Award. The nominees are Anora, The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, and Wicked. Ryan, who are you leaning towards winning? Who would you like to see win?
I can see a strong argument for Brutalist because it is 3.5 hours, and yet the pace is fairly brisk. Like, I think it does a really good job of not boring you to tears. So I think there's a strong argument there. Anora and Conclave, I think, both have a similar argument in terms of how the editing is able to keep the story propulsive. Like, it's,
I would also agree,
very energetic, especially for Anora, and then Conclave, given that it's, again, that like thriller sort of feeling, they're able to convey that in the editing, I think, really well. In Emilia Perez and Wicked, again, normally musicals will get editing as well, because combining all the sounds and the musicality with movements of people and these big dance numbers, like bringing that all together usually is a very impressive feat. I think in both of these, I don't know that I would nominate either of them for that. There are a couple standout moments in each, to be fair, but yeah, I don't think anything worthwhile enough to be in contention of winning the Oscar. I think Conclave will win. And as far as who should win, I'm between, again, that Anora, Brutalist, Conclave grouping. I think just the Brutalist, it has so much more just overall film to contend with, and story to contend with, and subplots to contend with. The fact that it's able to like bring them all together. It's also told over like decades and everything. I just think the way they were able to make that digestible is pretty darn impressive. So I might go Brutalist should win. Conclave will win.
I can understand that. I'm always in favor of more dynamic editing a little bit, as opposed to dynamic cinematography. I like when the editing really carries the motion of the film, and I think Anora and Conclave both do that really, really well. And I'm obviously leaning towards Anora. I would pick Anora. Sean Baker himself edited the movie, and I think he did a phenomenal job, especially in a lot of those early montage sequences where Mikey Madison is just like living it up. I think all of that's really, really well done. And I think the fact that the movie was very much shot from the hip in a lot of places, and he was able to put all those pieces together in the editing room to make it not only make sense, but really push the storytelling even further than it already was, I think is very impressive. However, I don't think they will award Anora the editing win, partially because Sean Baker himself edited it, and I think they are looking to spread the love this year, and partially because I don't think Anora has been talked enough about in the editing game, and I think The Brutalist has a lot more going behind it, and I think Conclave has a lot going behind it. So I would agree with you. I think Conclave is going to take the win here.
All right.
Especially because it has that thriller aspect, really pushing it.
Best cinematography, we have The Brutalist, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Maria, and Nosferatu. Should win, and I think you'll be in agreement here, Nosferatu.
I really like the way The Brutalist is shot. God, it's really hard because I think Nosferatu has the best shots of last year, 100%. I think when we do if we do our own like little categories for the Oscars, of who, like when we're doing that when we do the recap, right? Our own categories. Yeah, when we do that, I think for best shot, I think Nosferatu's taken like 3 spots in nominations for sure. But I think those other 2 spots are taken up by The Brutalist. So it's very difficult. I think Emilia Perez is not in this game. I think Maria probably not in the game. I haven't seen it, but of the stills I've seen, it hasn't wowed me. I mean, it looks gorgeous, but I think in comparison to Nosferatu, Dune 2, and The Brutalist, I don't think it really treads water here. I think Dune Part 2 has a lot of fantastic, phenomenal shots, but I would argue I don't think it really separates itself enough from the first Dune film, except for some of those like earlier sequences where they're in the like very red desert. I think is very unique to Dune 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very much taken, like I'm very much wowed by how the Brutalists used VistaVision and brought it back, and how they filmed that and how it came out. I think it looks fantastic. I think the Brutalists is absolutely going to win 100%.
Yeah.
It's hard to pick because Nosferatu, I think a lot of it does look a little dull at times, but then it has the greatest shots of the year. I mean, the snowy forest with the chariot with the door that slowly opens, the
Mm-hmm.
shot of Nicholas Hoult like running through the alleyways, the shots of him being at the fireplace with Nosferatu, and Nosferatu like coming up upon him. The hand coming across the
Of course.
city
Of
is
course.
fucking incredible. The shot, honestly, in the beginning of the movie where Lily Rose Depp is floating and the curtains are billowing and his shadow is upon the curtains.
Mm-hmm.
God, maybe I am going with Nosferatu. I'm kind of convincing myself because I think the Brutalist is more consistent in quality, start to finish. But I think in terms of like shots that have wowed me, it's Nosferatu hands down.
Yeah, I think they're both incredible. I mean, we talked about that. Like, they definitely, each of them have breathtaking shots, compositions, the overall approach as well. Again, VistaVision for Brutalist to mirror like the time period that they're in, and also to comment on like the grand ambitions that our main character has, the scale of it. And then with Nosferatu, again, I just think the way that because it's not black and white, but you can see the way that like they colored the images there, and even just shot like the night scenes, that it's harkening back to that original Nosferatu in the black and white, and the expressionism there, German expressionism. So it's fantastic. Like, I think
It really is.
the way like every decision they made in pre-production of like, this is the style we're going to approach, and then obviously the execution of those shots that you were just gushing over, very well deserved. Yeah, it's just incredible. So the both of them are well deserving. Brutalist is obviously going to win, but Nosferatu I'm going to give the should win. But yeah, both of them I think are incredible. And Dune Part 2, obviously, my beloved. I think it's fantastic. It just won't win because it's the factor of like, oh, we've seen it before.
Yeah,
like
it's just too
they built out the visual style in Dune Part 1. Obviously, if you're making a sequel, you're in the same world, like you would stick to that. But it just means because it's not as fresh anymore, people are not going to vote for that the second time, basically, even though, again, many breathtaking shots in that. That OLED, oh man, seeing all those images again on that.
Had I known you had an OLED TV, beautiful. I might have actually come that night.
Dang.
Probably not. I had a date that night, but it definitely would have been a point.
Listen, honey,
the fact you had an OLED TV.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Best Production Design. Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked. So what are you thinking here, Dylan?
I think The Brutalist is going to win. It is a movie about production design. It's the same thing as like when we have like Phantom Thread winning Best Costume Design. Like, when it's a movie that is about that specific thing, it's probably going to win. So I think 100% Brutalist is going to win Best Production Design. Do I think it deserves it amongst these people? Yeah, honestly, I think I do. I think I would also give it to The Brutalist over these other things. The only one that comes up against it maybe is Dune Part 2. And the only thing challenging The Brutalist is the AI use of some of those drawings at the end. But I think because it didn't actually affect the actual design of the sets themselves, and there was no AI used in that, I still see it probably winning. I think I would give it to either The Brutalist or Nosferatu, but probably The Brutalist. I think they did a very good job building out that world, that very 40s place. I think it's very impressive that they did that on the production, the budget that they had, and I think even though we don't get to really see a lot of the design of that final, mausoleum that he builds, I think the impression that it gives throughout the film, this hollow chamber that it always is, as he's like chipping away at it and building it and constructing it, I think it works very, very well. And so I would give production design to The Brutalist, and I think it's going to win.
Gotcha. I agree with you there with The Brutalist of like why it should win, especially when you consider like the budget level that it was at. Because you would never assume that it was like this comparatively shoestring budget compared to something like Dune Part 2. Or even Conclave, I'm sure, had a much larger budget. Again, I think they all did very impressive things. Like what they did with the Siege, particularly in Dune Part 2, was phenomenal. With Conclave, they had to like do something close to a 1-to-1 with the Vatican. And then Nosferatu, again, a lot of great images there you can lend to that production design, that like gothic aesthetic. And then Wicked is very funny because it does have great production design, and you never really remember it because so many shots looked ugly and terrible because of the lighting that they used for it.
So unfortunate because the production design is way better than I thought it was going to be. I was expecting it to be all CGI, and it wasn't, and it looked very, very good. I just wish they had shot it better.
Yeah, and so you have again the stuff like the library and the moving sets there that they had. Like that's all fantastic. Just that whole school itself again looks solid. The train apparently was a real life train that they had built out, the Emerald Train. So
I couldn't even tell it looked CGI to me.
Exactly, and that's why it's like this sucks because it's real, and
I didn't even know
that looks incredible when you see the behind the scenes stuff. But in the film itself, you're like, oh, this is just another CGI thing because everything else looks so washed out and bland and CGI. Again, like when you have sunlight that is continuously just fake and on the volume, it's not helpful to the great artists that created those sets. So I think I agree that I will get the point for this category without a doubt. I think Wicked will win production design. Really? I think Brutalist should win.
Okay. All right. I do think you're getting the point. Absolutely. Best costume design is the next category. A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Gladiator 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked. This is the only category that Gladiator 2 is nominated in. So it would be really cool if it won this one. That would be really, really nice. I don't think it will, though. I think if I was going to give it to any of these movies, I would give it to Conclave. I think what they do with like the papal uniforms and like all the outfits that the cardinals wear and whatnot, all of that religious attire, I think it looks very realistic. It's very incredible. And I guess Complete Unknown is just a period piece. There's always one nominated. Gladiator 2 technically is a period piece too, but I feel like it's a little bit more of a step up to recreate all those Gladiator uniforms. But I mean, it's identical to the first Gladiator. They didn't really like step up like the costuming game in any way really. And I think Wicked is the biggest competitor to Conclave in terms of the costumes. So the costumes are also very, very good in Wicked because they are so original and new, as opposed to all these films which are kind of based on real attire. I think Nosferatu has good costumes too, but I think a lot of the times they're kind of simple. I mean, it's usually just period, like a suit, or for Lily Rose Depp, like a robe of some sort. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm leaning towards Conclave with the like advanced sort of intricacies of all of those religious attire. I think I'm leaning towards that winning, but if one of them was going to sneak it away from Conclave, I think it would be Wicked. So I think either way, you're getting the point on this one.
But I really cool yet again. Wins it. I don't think Gladiator 2 will win it. However, I would probably give my vote to Gladiator 2 because I thought, I enjoyed a lot of the costumes in there. Again, it's things we have seen before, I guess, many times of just that old Roman attire. But I think it always came across really well, like Denzel Washington's look. I can call that to mind. Pedro Pascal's, I can call that to mind very easily. So I think there are some like unique creations that they have there, again, fitting within the clothing aesthetic of the time and the ways that they would have either Roman armor or just the robes they would wear. But I like that. And then I was thinking too, because you also have to factor in just like the scale of what they have to do. and the amount of people that they have to make these costumes for. With Conclave, again, there's hundreds of the people there that they have, but I feel like it's just they can look at what the real robes of each of these people wear, the bishops or cardinals.
It's very much copy and paste.
Yeah, same like with the Complete Unknown. It's about recreating 60s clothing or specific looks that Bob Dylan or Joan Baez or whoever it was had, and so it's about like the fidelity to what it was actually like at the time and what we can see on the videotapes of these famous people. Nosferatu, a similar thing with Gladiator too, of like it's period piece attire that we've seen plenty of times before, but obviously with the production design as well for Nosferatu, it's so immersive. Like you don't for a second think twice about like, okay, this looked a little fake or this doesn't look quite right. Like it fully brings you into it. So I think that's exceptional. And then Wicked, as you said, that has more freedom to create new and weird and wacky types of clothing that will stand out. And obviously, okay, that had to be created. Like someone didn't go to a thrift store to pick that up, which, there's still artistry in curating a wardrobe for a character from real life things. But that had to be like a concept art sketch. And then someone had to go through and like find the fabric, stitch it all together, sew it together, all that stuff. So I think Wicked will win.
Okay.
I would probably give it to Gladiator 2 though, but that's also a very heavy bias to Roman related things and that time period. And also I just like Gladiator 2 more than it seemed like most people. So
you did.
I was a fan. All right. Best original score. We have The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, Wicked, and The Wild Robot.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I just didn't really like any of them. None of them really. Like, I think the note to The Brutalist is really cool, but they barely used it. I think had they used that more and leaned into it, it would have been epic. But they didn't. They did it like twice, in the beginning, and then like halfway through, like at the intermission. I was like, you should have leaned on this more. It's such a cool theme. It like could have been really iconic, but they barely used it. You should have done it more. Conclave, I can't even tell you what it sounds like. The Wild Robot can't even tell you what it sounds like. Emilia Perez, I think, leans more on the songs than the score. I think it's interesting that Emilia Perez and Wicked are nominated here, because when you think of the music of these films, you think of the like actual songs, and Wicked has songs that are from the musical that has been written by Stephen Sondheim. And so, not Stephen Sondheim. Is it Stephen Sondheim? I should know this.
For which one? Wicked? No, I don't think so.
No?
Oh.
Am I crazy? I have to Google it up.
Yeah, look into that. I agree with The Brutalist. I think, again, that one specific moment is great. And they should use that more as a theme.
Stephen Schwartz. Is it Stephen Schwartz?
Did you not just look it up? How are you still unsure?
I don't know if it's telling me the movie or the musical. I hate myself. Stephen Schwartz. Yes. God damn, okay. Dude. There we go. I should know that. Steven Sondheim.
I know, you're the wicked guy.
Dumbass.
I mean, it's okay. Mistakes happen. Look, I will say for Conclave, right now, I couldn't tell you what it sounded like, but I do recall in the actual film being conscious of the music and how it was helping the tension of everything or helping the momentum of the story as we're going forward. So I think for that reason, Conclave should win. Will it win? I don't know. It's between The Brutalist and Conclave. I honestly don't know what they'll go for.
Win at the Golden Globes? For best score?
The Golden Globes doesn't give it out for score. They don't do like the technicals like that, I don't think.
Oh, really? Okay. I thought they did.
Yeah.
Okay.
They may have, not during their like televised ceremony at least.
Dude, I wouldn't give it to any of these motherfuckers. Oh, God. I don't know. I just doesn't.
Actually, they might do score because they did song. I don't know. I can't remember, but
I'll look it up in a second.
Yeah,
I don't know. It doesn't stand out to me. None of these stand out to me. I guess I would give it to The Brutalist just because it's the only one I can pick out. The music doesn't really inform me that much when I'm watching the movie. It just sounds iconic for a second. I guess I would give it to Conclave because you're right. Even though I can't recall what it sounds like, I do know that it did inform my viewing experience, and I don't think the Brutalist could say the same, except for those few moments where it plays the very iconic theme.
Indeed, I do think it was great throughout, but Conclave, I think, was just more of a presence throughout it and did help more directly, like, enforce the emotions, or at least just the general tone that it was going for. So, yeah, I'll go Conclave there. Either way, that point goes to me.
It was Challengers here. Challengers won.
Oh, dude. Atticus Ross. Yeah, that didn't even get nominated.
That should have been nominated, and I would have picked that one to win.
Globes.
Had that been nominated, it should for me the winner. Yeah, should have gotten a nomination.
Should be the winner for sure.
It should have gotten nominated over Amelia Perez and Wicked.
And we'll talk about best original song. I think there were a few songs from Challengers that should have got nominated.
Songs
as well. Yeah,
they have songs,
like specific snippets that they had.
I think that would still be considered the score.
Possibly. Maybe.
Well, let's talk about, because I mean, usually they expressly limit best original song to things with words like lyrics. But
there are some lyrics though in some Challengers thing. It's really? Not very legible words, but there are. Yeah. They're like, specific vocals of them like repeating a certain thing over and over.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's go through those nominees. Best original song, El Mal for Amelia Perez, The Journey for the 688, Like a Bird for Sing Sing, Mi Camino for Amelia Perez, and Never Too Late for Elton John, Never Too Late. I think El Mal, even with all the controversy, is still going to win. And I think, I guess I haven't really listened to most of these other ones, but I really, really enjoy El Mal. I still think it's just a very good song, start to finish.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think El Mal will win. I have not heard any of these other songs that are not from Amelia Perez. I would have nominated and would award before El Mal 2 songs from Mufasa.
Really?
Yes. I think the brother song, which again, everyone knows the meme part of just the way he says brother, but the rest of that song, I think is actually very, very good. Because it just perfectly sort of distills their like relationship and view on life, but also is their whole friendship coming together, and also, which most musicals do, and Lion King has done before, if like they use that song to age them up. So I think that's just very well done, and I think it's very catchy as well, and I think the lyrics are on point. So Lin-Manuel Miranda, shout out there. And then the other song that I would do from that movie is the one where it's the medley of all of them coming together and singing about, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So
does the villain not get all a song there? In that movie?
Say what?
Does the villain not get a song in that movie?
Oh, he does.
Is it good?
No.
Because the best song from the original Lion King, as you very well know, is Be Prepared. 100%.
I mean, you could say the best song is any of those 5 songs, and you would be correct. The Circle of Life is clearly the number 1 song, but Be Prepared is definitely...
Be Prepared is the best one. But
the best villain song of all time, for sure.
No, Be Prepared is the best song in that movie.
I mean, again, I love all of them.
Of course. They're all great. They are all great.
They're all certified bangers, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
So you can have your pick. I mean, sure, go for it. But yeah, it definitely does not compare this one to Be Prepared. And then, I mean, it's pretty much all the same. Like they do, I think it's 5 major songs, maybe 6. Because Scar has his own like villain song, but that's really him crashing out, and it's not very good. And then
it's just Be Prepared. And then we have mix.
Now that would have been awesome. That would have been crazy. But no, it's like it is tagged on to the love song that they have in Mufasa. So yeah, which I like in theory, like some of the ideas that they have in there, I think is really nice. And the performances are great, like incredible voices from everyone in the cast, except maybe the Zazu singer, Loki. Yeah. But the like idea of it, I think was great. Just execution, I was not the biggest fan of. But the brother song was great, and then the We Go Together song, very catchy, very fun. So I would have put both of those over, and then given them the award over El Mal, certainly over Mi Camino. That song is bad for 85% of it.
I'm surprised they gave it to Mi Camino because I feel like there are other songs in Emilia Perez that I enjoyed more than Mi Camino.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no disrespect. We haven't talked about Emilia Perez on the pod at all yet. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but yeah, I don't think like the songs are all terrible. I just don't think many of them are that memorable. But Mi Camino, legitimately, was just not good. That was the one that I was like, okay, this is bad. Except for again, like the very end of that song, I think is pretty.
I'm
decent.
surprised they got nominated. I think the song where it's Zoe Saldana going between Carlos Sofia Gascon and Selena Gomez, and it has the weird split screen where they're on the phone. I think that song was better than Mi Camino.
Yeah, I wasn't too big a fan of that. But El Mal, I think, yeah, it makes sense that would be the standout one for it.
Dude, it's so good. It is actually a banger.
You did very much enjoy it. I remember before all the backlash started coming in, you were like, El Mal?
I still like it. I would listen to it like just in the car. I have listened to it just in the car. It's good.
Blah, 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 blah. What is it?
I don't know the words. I don't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's catchy. Like that chorus for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We have the short film categories here now, of which I have heard of none of these. So I'm deferring to your judgment once again. We'll start with the best live action short nominees: Aline, Anuha, I'm Not a Robot, The Last Ranger, and The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent.
Yeah, I have no idea. We're gonna have to pass this. Right. I'm Not a Robot is the one that I've actually seen.
Okay.
Was playing at the Love Your Shorts Film Festival recently here, and then they told us like at the end, like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm Not a Robot is one of the Oscar nominated films. And I was like, then why are we? Obviously, it's going to win this festival then if it's Oscar nominated, and it sure did, and it sure deserved to. Because I remember watching it, and I was like, it's a foreign film too. It's like Norwegian, maybe, I'm not sure, but it's a foreign film. But I was watching, and I was like, this is good. Like it has very strong quality. Also,
above everything else.
It used the cover of Creep, and I was like, ain't no way any like independent filmmaker is able to get the rights to that. So I'm like, this has to be like a real film, real studio that they got going on. And sure enough, it was. So that's
sure enough
very obviously why it stood above the rest. Yep. But it was one of the best films there. So yeah, I don't know how it compares to those other four, but just since I have seen it, I'll say I'm Not a Robot.
I'm going with you.
We'll win.
We'll wait for that one. And then the best animated short films: Beautiful Men, In the Shadow of the Cypress, Magic Candies, Wander to Wonder, and Yuck. You heard of any of these?
Not even in the slightest. Based on titles alone and vibes, what do you think will win?
I'm going to give it to Yuck. I'm feeling Yuck. Yuck. I like Yuck. Yuck.
Nice.
It's got the exclamation point in there, so you really know that they mean it. Yuck.
Yuck. It does.
Yeah, I like that one.
I think Wander to Wonder and Beautiful Men seem to be the ones that would be like the most serious.
Yeah, but it's animated short. They don't need to be serious. They need to be yuck.
You're very correct there. But again, I think that would probably give the edge to it. So I'll say Beautiful Men will take the win.
And then best documentary short, we have Death by Numbers, I Am Ready, Warden, Incident, Instruments of a Beating Heart, and The Only Girl in the Orchestra. I believe I've heard of The Only Girl in the Orchestra. I've heard of that somewhere.
There's a lot of music-related things that I feel like get nominated here. I think I'm Ready, Warden will win, only because I think that's somehow prison-related. And so therefore a serious issue, and therefore that'll win. That'd be
I'm going to go with The Only Girl in the Orchestra because I believe I've heard of it, and I've heard good things, I believe.
Nice. All right. Best makeup and hair styling. A Different Man, Emilia Perez, Nosferatu, The Substance, and Wicked. So should win, will win. What do you think,
The Substance, man, is going to win and absolutely should win. Dude, it is stellar. It is so awesome. Almost never do we see like body horror things nominated in this category. Usually only when it's Rick Baker. So to see a body horror movie nominated here is pretty freaking sick. And they knocked it out of the park. They killed it. on par with The Fly, on par with, well, I wouldn't say on par with Tetsuo the Iron Man. That thing is, that movie's crazy. But on par with like an American Werewolf in London, and with a lot of the Cronenberg style of body horror. Fantastic. Just very, very well done. Very gross, very icky, wiggy, yuck kind of stuff. It's yuck.
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 I agree. I think clearly the fact that they got in Best Picture and some other nominations, this, which is its most shoe-in to win, I think it'll definitely take it there. So Best Sound, A Complete Unknown, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Wicked, and The Wild Robot, which is pretty awesome for an animated film to get Best Sound like that.
Yeah, that is cool. I wish they had nominated Nickel Boys. I would have picked Nickel Boys for the same reason that I picked what is it called from last year? What won Best Sound last year? Concentration Camp movie. Please help me.
Zone of Interest.
Zone of Interest. For the same reason that Zone of Interest did win last year, I would have picked Nickel Boys this year, in the fact that the sound alone horrified me. Absolutely terrifying. Mm-hmm. I wish Nickel Boys had got a nomination. But it did not, so we are stuck with what we have. I would not pick... I don't know if I'd pick any of these. I guess Dune 2. This is not really a stack.
I would pick Dune 2.
Or a complete unknown. It's kind of an unstacked category. I feel like it's just such a shoe-in for musicals to get nominated for this, but I don't really understand why. I mean, I guess recording the singer singing is noteworthy if they do it a good job, but I wouldn't say anybody stood out, except for the end of Wicked, where Cynthia Erivo is actually singing on the broom as she's flying around. It's pretty impressive that they were recording that. But I wouldn't say that anything else really stood out sound related. So I'll give it to Dune 2. I think Dune 2...
Well, I will more enthusiastically give it to Dune 2. I think it should win.
Complete Unknown might win.
I think... I don't know. I'm honestly unsure of what else they would give it to. I guess, yeah, Complete Unknown might be.
I think because they're leaning so heavily in the what is it called?
Musical category?
No, like in the press stuff, building up to the Oscars. I think because the Complete Unknown crew is leaning so heavily on the fact that Timmy T sang like live and everything, and like demanded to sing live, and so everything you hear is recorded live. I think because they're leaning on that so heavily, it's very likely that A Complete Unknown wins Best Sound. I haven't seen it, so I couldn't give it to it, but I would give it to Dune 2 of the 4 that I have seen. But I think Complete Unknown is going to take it.
Gotcha. Okay. Then that would be me giving myself a point. You would not be giving it. I think it's the first time we've been non-unanimous on a thing that one of our roster films were up for.
Yeah. So you think Dune 2...
that continues.
You think Dune 2 is going to win?
Yes.
Okay. Best visual effects.
Best visual effects.
Okay. All right, buddy. I think we have a delay going on or something. Best visual effects: Alien Romulus, Better Man, Dune Part 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and Wicked. I think Dune Part 2 is absolutely a shoo-in. I don't think anything else comes even close. I think very easily Dune Part 2 wins this.
I would agree, although I think Alien Romulus had awesome visual effects. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which I did not see, but I'm sure, the whole film mostly being motion capture actors that are then turned into apes. Me away. Did great.
It was definitely a step down from the Matt Reeves Planet of the Apes movies, which is unfortunate because it's been so long. The technology has gotten better. It should have been a step up, but I think because they were leaning so heavily on a lot of because it's much farther in the future, so it's more apocalyptic ape world, so they have to lean more on CGI for the production design. I think because of that, putting CGI characters on a CGI background is going to make it look worse than having those CGI motion capture characters on a real set. Like the Matt Reeves movies, it looks phenomenal and should have won every visual effect Oscar in existence. But hey, I think it looked better than Wicked. I think it didn't look better than Alien Romulus, but I think it looked better than The Monkey and Better Man. So there's that.
Gotcha. All right. Best actor. Adrian Brody for The Brutalist, Timothée Chalamet for A Complete Unknown, Colman Domingo for Sing Sing, Ralph Fiennes for Conclave, and Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. I think it's down to 2, Adrian Brody and Timothée Chalamet, but Adrian Brody has been cleaning up everything.
Yeah.
So seems like an inevitable lock for Brody, unless at the SAG Awards, Timmy Tim can get some momentum. But Brody's coming for that second Oscar.
I think Timmy Tim kind of came out of nowhere because Ralph Fiennes was the lead for so long. And then it was a two-way tie between Ralph Fiennes and Adrian Brody. And now Timmy T's coming out of the woodworks. Sebastian Stan being in here is still crazy, I think. I mean, good for him. I'm really happy for him. I think he should have been nominated for A Different Man more than The Apprentice. But still, it's cool, I guess. Who would you give it, though? Guys, I think we're in agreement that Adrian Brody's the lock here, kind of. Who would you give it to?
Of these people, from what I saw, Adrian Brody. But again, if we had a different world where Kieran Culkin and Adrian Brody were in the best leading actor category together, I think I would give it to Kieran Culkin. Okay. Like, I don't see how I don't vote for that particular performance.
If I had to pick one and give it away, I'm giving it to Colman Domingo. I think him in Sing Sing was surprisingly delightful. I thought he was going to be a little one note and very much like the mentor character. I think I've already talked about this on the show when we talked about Sing Sing, but he very much surprised me with like the amount of depth he brings to the character, which, I mean, he's a fantastic actor. It shouldn't have surprised me. I just, from the trailers and what I thought the movie was going to be about, I did not think there was going to be so much depth and like wonderful flaws in the character as there were. And I think he does so very, very well. And I would pick Colman Domingo because I think he carries that movie. Yeah. Him and Clarence Macklin carry that movie on their shoulders 100%.
Yeah, and again, I haven't seen that movie yet and that performance, but I'm a huge Colman Domingo fan, so I could see myself also really rooting for him. And
with me, he's just delightful.
I believe it. All right, Best Actress: Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, Carla Sofia Gascon for Amelia Perez, Mikey Madison for Anora, Demi Moore for The Substance, and Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here.
The most controversial
now, this one
category.
This one, has been getting shaken up many, many times over the past couple months. So we know where your heart is, Dylan. Obviously, you would give it to Mikey Madison if you 100%. Had control.
Absolutely. Demi Moore is a very close second, though.
At this point in the race, who do you think will win?
I think before the Golden Globes, it was a tie between Mikey Madison and Carlos Sofia Gascon. And I was satisfied with that tie because I stand by the fact that even though Carlos Sofia Gascon is definitely racist, I think she did give a very good performance in Amelia Perez. And I think people would fight me on that, but come at me. I actually think she's very good in a lot of the scenes. And so I would not have been upset had she won an Oscar. But now that we found out that she's a horrible racist, it is obviously a race between Mikey Madison and Demi Moore. I think with the BAFTA, I think it's very close. Demi Moore has the Golden Globe. Mikey Madison has the BAFTA. It's very tight. I think I could see it going either way. I'm going to play the hopeful card and really hope that people will pick Mikey Madison. Just because I think, even though Demi Moore is fantastic in The Substance, I think it's definitely a shared performance with Margaret Qualley. Quite literally, they are playing the same character and they're splitting their screen time. And I think Mikey Madison is like the definition of lead in Anora. Like, it is like her character's name is literally the title of the movie. She is in almost every single scene of that film, and she is like on point always, always, always as the movie's going on. And I think she has the opportunity to provide more depth to that character than Demi Moore can in The Substance, only because that's what the script entails. And I think Demi Moore did a fantastic job, and I think she absolutely deserves a nomination. And I wouldn't be upset if she won. I think she's fantastic in the movie. But I think Mikey Madison deserves it, and I think Mikey Madison will win it.
There you go. I would agree. I would personally give it to Mikey Madison,
yes.
Which I think we said like on the show. We were like, the first thing we said was Mikey Madison, like, welcome to the circle of Oscar winners because it is yours. And things have changed since then. She is no longer the front runner, but I do still believe that she gave the greatest performance because, she just took me on the whole emotional roller coaster. I think better than like any other actress did that was nominated here. Like I was more entertained. I was laughing more. I was on the verge of tears more watching her on screen. And then when you compare that persona of like Anora to how Mikey Madison is in real life, it's so different. So you can see, again, there's like that whole thing of, well, how much of, Kieran Culkin's performance is him stepping into this whole new character versus him inputting a lot of his own like neurotic energy, which I love. And I think it's great. And obviously it helps bring that character to life in such a unique way. But again, him in real life, as you see in any awards acceptance speech that he gives, is very similar to like Roman Roy and to that character in The Real Pain. For Mikey Madison here, it's like such a departure from her normal just like behavior and speech and everything. So I think like I was truly impressed by that performance. I would want to award her for that. But Demi Moore has the narrative behind her. And that Golden Globe speech was fantastic. It put her not just in the race, but she's now the front runner. We were like, okay, she secured that nomination. Incredible. But no, she secured multiple wins on the way to being a potential Oscar winner here for The Substance, which is crazy to think about for like a horror film, body horror film. But as you said, like so much of the film is shared with Margaret Qualley, and while she gives like a fantastic performance, undoubtedly, and there's a lot of times where I'm brought on that emotional roller coaster of like laughing and feeling like just my heart being torn apart from that mirror scene in particular before she goes out on the date.
Yeah,
she's fantastic for sure. And so I'm glad she got nominated here. I hope that I don't know, that we are giving it a fair shake, and it's less about, again, like, are we awarding her career for this, or are we awarding, this particular performance, which obviously comments on like the careers of women, especially as they grow older in Hollywood. So undeniably that's a part of it, and it's a natural way to frame her narrative for this award. But for me, just like of the two films, of the two performances, I think with Anora, it's just so special. And so I would want to give it to Mikey Madison. However, I will say Fernanda Torres, again, she won the Golden Globe. She has been on a press tour of a lifetime recently. So I wouldn't be surprised if the momentum that she has puts her in contention. Like, I think it used to be like a couple weeks ago, I think a clear win for Demi Moore. Now, I think it's neck and neck with Mikey Madison and Demi Moore, and I think Fernanda Torres now has closed in of like a very close third. So
yeah, and she's also fantastic, and I'm still here. I think she delivers a very stellar performance.
So that would be a very well-deserved win for any of these three ladies. So we'll see what happens. Thankfully, it's very exciting. The best actor and supporting actress are all sort of already decided, but best actress, there could be some big surprises. So I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. In the last category, of course, Best Picture. Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. I think it's pretty obvious what we would each give the award to. Obviously, I would pick Anora because it was my number one movie of last year, and obviously you would pick Dune Part 2 because it was your number one movie of last year. Am I wrong in saying that?
Pretty close to it. I could see myself going for Nickel Boys just to, because Dune Part 2 again is my favorite and I love it. But if I'm trying to like select the best picture of the year, the thing that we would want like past generations to look back on or future generations to look back on and discover, I feel like Dune Part 2 is not gonna, fall under the radar ever. It's going to, I think once this trilogy ends, it'll be looked back on similar to, again, these massive trilogies, Lord of the Rings, the original Star Wars, things like that, like these big blockbuster epics. Mm-hmm. So it'll always be there for people to find.
Sure.
And thankfully, although Denis Villeneuve never got nominations for it, like the nominations that it got for Dune and Dune Part 2, I think are both more than like satisfactory for me. Nickel Boys, again, I think it's just such a unique achievement that I would probably want to celebrate that most of all. So I might give it to Nickel Boys for like Best Picture.
But what do you think will win? Obviously, the two frontrunners are Nora and The Brutalist. Where do you think it's coming down?
So let's go. So what do you think has an actual shot? Because I think there's
of all these movies
around 5, but maybe down to 4 now. But yeah. 5 films. Like, you know, we have the 10, but Dune Part 2 ain't winning. Nickel Boys ain't winning.
Yeah.
So
Nora has Nora and The Brutalist, I think, are the two front runners. I think Conclave has a shot because I think it's a shoe-in for the screenplay win. I think even with all the controversy, Emilia Perez still has had a lot of. I think I think it's out. I think I'm Still Here because it's had such a momentous press run. I think it has become much more popular in everybody's worldview. I think I'm Still Here has a chance, but very slim. I think Wicked also, with how popular it is, has a shot of winning Best Picture, but I wouldn't give it to it.
Yeah, I don't. I think it's down to Anora, Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, and A Complete Unknown. I think those are the 5 contenders because A Complete Unknown got a lot of nominations, so it was very well represented here. I don't think it'll win. I think it's probably in that 5th spot. Emilia Perez, again, 13 nominations. Like
it is crazy.
People do like this film. So we'll have to see how much the controversy affects it. I definitely think it would not win now. But even before that controversy, I think we can rest assured that it would not have won because it didn't win PGA or DGA, both of which had their voting end before that controversy came out. So, yeah, I don't think Emilia Perez will take it. So it's down to Anora, Brutalist, and Conclave. Brutalist won Golden Globe. Anora won PGA and DGA.
Oh, yeah.
Conclave just won BAFTA. And then I can't remember. I believe Anora won Critics' Choice as well, like Best Picture. So I think Anora has circled all the way back around. It was the front runner before the season really kicked off. And now I think it has landed back in the front runner position.
Let's go.
So it's between, I think Brutalist has a very good chance. Conclave, I think, has a very good chance. I also think it's very funny. I guess not funny. It's ironic. That's right now the Pope is like possibly about to die. And so this film that's all about
I think it's funny the Pope is possibly about to die.
Yeah, don't. It's like let me put an asterisk on that real quick before that gets taken out of context. So it's very ironic for sure that is like coinciding with the Conclave's award nominations and it about to potentially get Best Picture. I don't think it will, but imagine a world where the Pope died during Oscar voting. That would have been crazy, and then Conclave might have been able to come through. Yeah. So I think it's those top 3, and there could be surprises. Like a lot of these I think are very clear, but there's always at least 1 or 2 surprises at these ceremonies. So I think Anora will take the win.
Yes.
But it could go to Conclave, it could go to Brutalist. God willing, it does not go to Emilia Perez, though I certainly don't think it will. And then I don't think anything else has a real shot. But yeah, I think Conclave and Brutalist are both sort of like old types of films that would get the victory, whereas Anora, I think, represents this like new direction that the Oscars is going in, and I think it's just much more of a crowd pleaser than like everything else here. So my will win is Anora.
All right. What do the tallies come out to for what you've been tallying for the Oscar draft?
So, as far as the wins that I would give myself, 10. I would give myself 10 wins.
That is
you
insane.
Would give me 9 wins. And then as far as the wins that you would get, it's unanimous. We both would give you 5 wins.
It's not looking good.
So it may be the highest scoring that we have, although I think maybe my Oppenheimer sweep will still be out of reach.
Yeah.
But yeah, even though you put on a Nora sweep is pretty possible here. Sean Baker could go home with 4 Oscars. Both of us have said that he'll get at least 3. Although again, I can see
world where he doesn't
Brutalist taking director, and I can see Brutalist or Conclave taking picture. We'll have to see. But Sean Baker will go home with at least 1 Oscar, without a doubt.
Yeah, I think so.
And then Emilia Perez with El Mal should get 1, and Zoe Saldana.
Man, but sad.
Yeah,
it was nice playing.
You're pretty limited here.
It was nice playing while I could, but I think I lost this one, which means I have to come back with a fury in the box office draft. The underdog coming back to
that's true.
Get you.
So I'm in a good spot right now. I'm about to take this win here, lick my wounds from the box office draft, and then now I have a solid roster for the box office draft, so I can hopefully win that, and then come back and go for a 3-peat with the Oscars. Now that would be fantastic.
I would kick your ass, I swear to God. I'd be so mad if you got a 3-peat. I got to come back, man. What happened? Everything Ever All at Once was the last time I really blew up. What a good pick that was. What happened, man?
Which pisses me off so much. It was on my list. I picked Women Talking instead of Everything Ever All at Once. And I had Everything Ever All at Once right before Women Talking, so there's no reason. I just didn't think you had selected that early on. I was a fool. If I just followed the list that I had, I would have won.
That's too bad. Any other thoughts on Oscar predictions or anything?
No. We'll we'll see how the SAG awards go this weekend.
That's exciting.
Then we'll, update that next week on our final show before the Oscars, but I'm pretty confident in all these choices here. Again, the technicals, whether it's Brutalist or Conclave or Wicked, they will most likely go to me, and if not, by some crazy scenario, then they wouldn't probably go to a film that you have. You have Emilia Perez and all those technicals, but that ain't winning nothing other than song, maybe. So,
shut up.
Yeah, I'm very happy there.
Buddy.
And you're gonna take a lot of the actor above the line stuff, and possibly even picture, but it won't be enough. So I'm very happy with my selections there. I think I chose very well. So indeed. I'm looking forward to hopefully another victory for the Oscars. And I'm looking forward to the end of what was a chaotic and very entertaining award season.
Oh yeah. Always interesting to watch how these awards play out. That is all the time we have. If you'd like to give your thoughts on the show, you can email us at theboxofficeshowpod@gmail.com.
Our main title theme for the show is Sundown by Joseph McDade.
If you like the show, please give us 5 stars on our podcast that you're listening to, and be sure to tune in next week. Have a great rest of the week.